Hi, today I'd like to show how you can write actual unit tests, or more precisely scenario tests, for your achievements on RetroAchievements. So my approach is based on the CrunchEvos, and I'm gonna talk shortly about why I'm using CrunchEvos. Then we'll set up a project from scratch and write a few tests and see how we can record scenarios and check if the tests hold against them. Yeah, we'll see in a minute what that means, what scenario means, and what writing a test means. Just to start, like if you learn on how to create achievements, you most certainly start out with the achievement editor. So, for example, here on this on this game Monster Force, there are already certain achievements in unofficial, and if I open an achievement, yeah, I can define the conditions here. I can add conditions, remove them, but it's all like manual work in the editor. Switching to a script-based way of doing that gives a lot of benefits. Like you can use version control like Git to check in the achievements because it's just text, and you can then also roll back to any point in time. So if you mess up something, you can just take the old version and not have to worry that you mess up something. For me, also the big improvement is that you can add comments and that you can write helpers and restructure your code as you want to. Now there are several ways to use scripting to create achievements. Like I think the most prominent might be array script, but there's also PyChevos and which uses Python, and CrunchEvos which uses JavaScript. For me personally, I went with CrunchEvos because I already know JavaScript, and it felt like it has some handy CLI functions, like how to actually apply the conditions or the achievements to a set in progress. I'm sure the other have also, like PyChevos or ArrayScript also have those possibilities. I just went with CrunchEvos because it felt the most easy to start with for me, to not, especially again in comparison to ArrayScript, you don't have to learn a new scripting language. Yeah, so let's start. I prepared a folder, Chivo test, and it has not much, but it has a package JSON where the dependencies are defined. So for it to work, you need the CrunchEvos, which we just looked at, the CLI and core. Then you need a CrunchEvos playtest. That's the testing library I'd like to show you. And the last one is ytest. It's a standard front-end testing framework. If you know if you already did some web development, you might know the structure. It's a standard npm package JSON. I'll also have some scripts which I'll gonna show you in a minute. First, I'd just like to really shortly talk about what CrunchEvos playtest is. It's a separate library. It's not an official CrunchEvos library. It's let me show you quickly what it is. So basically, it allows you to record test scenarios. We'll see in a minute what that is. And then you can write test expectations against those scenarios. So a scenario is basically a recording of the memory of an emulator. And it records all the addresses that are in the code notes. So everything that's relevant that you noted in your code notes will be recorded for the time of the recording. It also provides some Lua scripts, how that recording happens. It's based on BizHawk because it supports Lua scripting. There's a scenario viewer. You can walk through the frames, go back and forth. So it's also very handy for debugging, not only for writing tests. And there's a JavaScript API, so you can run the scenario together with a achievement through the through that API, and it will tell you whether the achievement triggered or not. So that's the basis for the tests. It also has a lot of other stuff, but let's keep it simple for the moment. Yeah, to start, we're gonna initialize our project. So beside the package JSON, there's also a subfolder where I put my nodes. So the nodes are just the nodes you can find in your arralib retro in the array cache. So it's the nodes that you have for that game. We will just use them in a minute, because it's as I said, they're used to watch the memory which should be recorded in the emulator. Then there's the second file, which is an actual achievement which I prepared. So this is like basically this is the main part of Crunchivos. You define an achievement set. For example, here the Monster Force with a certain game ID, and then you can add achievements to it. So this will work out of the box with the Crunchivos CLI. If you can apply this, and it will add a new achievement to the achievement list. So this is just a new achievement which I just created for to show some things. So it is about collecting a red heart. The game Monster Force, it has some items which can be picked up, and the health pickup is a heart. They come in different colors, but the red one is like the first one that you encounter. You see here the definition of an achievement. It's pretty straightforward. You give it a title, a description, you can say how much points it should be, and there's the conditions. Currently we're only having a core, and with this $, that's alias for define, which also is from Crunchivos, where you can then just add an array of conditions. So to start, we're gonna first initialize the playtesting part. So we're gonna run the init part, which will initialize the Monster Force achievement set for testing. There's a checklist which appears if you do that. Like it says, put the nodes here, and which we already did, and also that the achievement can be added here. But yeah, you don't have, it's just a checklist if you want to do it yourself. We're just gonna walk through now. Next up after the init is the sync. The sync will synchronize the code nodes to a watch list, which is then used for recording the scenario. So I'm also just gonna run the sync. By the way, if you're not working with WebStorm or IntelliJ or something like that, you can also just run them from the console. npm run sync, which is exactly the same as clicking here. So let's do that. You see here it created a watch list, and this is just a list of what memory it should watch and how big the other sizes are. So if you have 8-bit or 16 or 32. We also, when we run the init part, you see here new folders popped up. First one, there's an empty scenario folder, and the second one is a test folder. It contains already a default test, like an example. There's a lot of comments. Let me just wipe that out. I prepared a small test already. So for our, let's have them side by side. Sorry, let's switch. We have the definition on the left and the tests on the right. So for our achievement, collect a red heart. It's a pretty basic achievement. So there's the delta mem check that the tool slot should be filled with a certain value. This is the red heart, or the item ID of the red heart. And the last check is just that we make sure that we're in game and not somewhere in the menu. This achievement now has a first test, and we're gonna add some more in a moment. But the first test is the achievement should pop when the red heart is collected. Now the structure of such a test is like how it's structured is basic Y test. So if you know it from maybe from web development, it's a pretty standard testing framework which provides certain helpers and certain ways of how to test your JavaScript code. The most basic thing is like you describe something that you want to test, and then you can write multiple test expectations inside of them. It's just a way of how to structure your test. So describe, I'm just gonna use one describe for the achievement, red heart, and then currently we have one test. It pops when the red heart is collected. Now a test will consist of first the setup. We load a scenario here, which we don't have it yet. We will record it just in a minute. It's named the red heart collected, and now this is the exciting part, or the interesting part of the playtesting library. Now after the scenario is loaded and the achievement is loaded, like this is the part where we load the achievement. So with both at hand, we can now run it through the whole trigger logic. So the big part of the Cronchivo's playtest framework is that it is a port of the C core of the Archivos trigger part. So it was ported to JavaScript so that it can be run here as a test, and it should behave exactly as the original Archivos trigger logic. So with run achievement, we're feeding all of our scenario frames and our achievement into the state machine, so to say, and we expect, or we then check what comes out of it. If, for example, if certain state happens, these here below are the expectations. And for example, at scenario start, this is a marker we will set later. We expect the achievement to be active. We expect it to be triggered. So this is actually true. And we expect a certain trigger frame. So it should be triggered at a certain frame, which we can also define, which we can set a marker in the scenario. We will see in a moment how that works out. Let's check the scenario. Let's prepare to record the scenario. So there's 3 Lua files in total. The watch list we already had a look at. It's just our code notes as Lua. Then there's the record scenario, it's just the whole recording script itself, which we don't need to touch. And the config, it contains our scenario configuration. And now I copied over the name of the first scenario we're going to record, red heart collected. Let's put it in here. This is the only thing we need to change if we switch between recording scenarios. Here we can just add the game name and the console. It should always stay the same. And now we're prepared. So for the recording to work, let me close the RLib Retro. You need the BizHawk. BizHawk is just another emulator which supports a lot of cores. Let's open up the game, Monster Force. I already prepared a save state. And now we have to load the Lua script, which can be done here under Tools and then Lua console. Let's open this. And then you can load up the script. If you open it, it will automatically start running. So we will, the first time, we can toggle it later on. But yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and record a scenario. So let's open the record scenario file. So this is this one. Remember, the config is just how the scenario will be named, and the watch list is the code notes. But this one, record scenario, is the one that Bisok should read and should execute. So I'm gonna open it. Now the emulator will freeze up for some seconds until it's initialized. I paused it, so if I can unpause it. You can see already that there are images created. The scenario viewer later will use those images to show the state. I think it defaults to 1 image per second. You can also record like every frame, but yeah, that's most of the time that's not needed. You see how the memory changes already. So yeah, now I'm just gonna, like, we're now in an active scenario. I'm just gonna destroy this pumpkin and collect this heart. This is like the red heart that we want to check. And that's already it. I can now toggle the recording. So it's toggled off now. And now we can check if it has been recorded. We see here the scenarios folder now has a new scenario, the red heart collected. And so this was the preparation for our test. Now the thing is, it doesn't have any marker frames yet, so we would need to reference certain frames, and we have no idea at which frame the achievement triggers or should trigger. So let's have a look at the helper that the playtest framework provides. It's the viewer. So I'm just gonna run that. It will provide a link which we can open. So this is a scenario viewer. On the left here are the scenarios that we already recorded. We see here that's just the scenario we recorded moments ago, and on the right there's a list of achievements. So I'm gonna select this one, and let's see. We see here this is like the timeline, and blue means active. Okay, so something didn't work. Let's check. We can see the heart got picked up. Let's see what happens. We can also see the memory values of every code node that we added. And let me move forward and back. We see here the tool slot 1 will go from 0 to 7. Okay, so there seems to be an error in the achievement, because the red heart has the item ID 7 and not 9. So yeah, we don't, I mean, we can just go with how the achievement is currently, and let's add some markers. For example, the scenario start, which is, we can just say the scenario starting here. So we have a frame marker at this point, and we have one at another marker at the hard collect, which is called hard collected. Oh, sorry, and that was the moment the moment we had before. Let's see, when does the tool slot 1 go from 0 to 7? By the way, I'm using my keyboard arrows here. You can use with Shift or with Control, you can jump 10 or 100 frames, and with just using the plain arrows, you can go forward or back by one frame. So this is the exact moment that the tool slot gets filled. So I'm gonna add the marker frame here. So yeah, next up is why not run the test? It will fail because something's not right yet with our achievement, but that doesn't matter. Let's check if what the test says. Yeah, to run the test, you can just run the test script. It will run here side by side to the open viewer, and it says, failed. Okay. Let's see, recording. Something's still wrong. Probably an import which is missing. We're in the test folder, so we need to move up one folder. Let's run that again. And voila, that was the result we were expecting, because it says, hey, we received false, so the triggered was false, but we expect it to be true, so the achievement was not triggered. It's basically what we already saw in the viewer, because it's all the achievement stays active for the whole duration of the scenario. Now we saw that the correct item ID is 7 and not 9. So yeah, maybe create a quick variable. Red heart ID is 7, and then we're gonna use just that. So now we expect the tool slot to go from not 7 to 7. So here it should be on the delta frame, on the last frame it should be not 7, and then on the current frame it should be 7. So let's quickly rerun the viewer, reload it. Now we have different result. We see here the achievement is active just until this exact point where the tool slot gets the is filled with the item. So this is exactly what we wanted. We see also here that it's triggered in this exact frame. So yeah, let's run the tests again, and now we expect them to be green. Voila. So we have our test, which should be green when the red heart is collected. Very good. So next up, we want to make sure that we saw that we didn't check the correct item before. So maybe, yeah, let's add a test to a negative test, that it should not pop. Should not pop if, for example, other item is collected. Other item collected. Wait, I prepared a scenario, made a save state to somewhere where we have a blue heart, so that we can name it accordingly. Blue heart collected. Let's first write the test. So for the blue heart collected scenario, there will also be a marker scenario start, just as before, which we expect the achievement to be active. But then it shouldn't be triggered at all in this if we pick up the wrong item. So now we can record the next scenario. So I go back to this recorder config. We can just exchange the new, we set the new name. And let me keep this open here that we can see what we're actually recording. Blue heart scenario. And now the cool thing is, as the Lua script is already loaded, we can just update this, and then we can play our next save state and record our next scenario. So let me check. Next up is, let me pause real quick. This is a part where there's a blue heart, so I will start the recording. And as soon as I see that the recording is running, which is now, I move forward and collect the blue heart. And that's already it. We can already stop the scenario. Now we should see another scenario pop up here in the scenarios folder, which is this one, blue heart collected. And we can check it in the viewer. if there's new scenarios or achievement, it's best to restart the viewer, so it's loaded with everything. We now see here the blue heart collected and our achievement, and as you noticed, there's no trigger. So the achievement was not triggered, which is good, because we expected that only the red heart should trigger the achievement. Let me add the markers which we are checking. I think it's only scenario start. That's the marker we use. Yeah, that's the only one. And now we can run our tests again. Now the cool thing is it will just run all tests that are in the file. So we always have regression tests to check if our old tests still work, even if we change something in the logic. I mean, now we didn't change anything, but we're sure that the achievement does not pop if another item is collected. So all pass. That's really nice. Now the tricky thing is sometimes to figure out all the edge cases. And with tests, you can somehow document them. You can write them down, and you can write your expectations. That a big benefit is also that you can just rerun them against logic changes. So, for example, for my Monster Force set, for the progression achievements, I had to change them, I think, like 4 or 5 times, and yeah, each time you would have to make sure that all the edge cases still hold, and that can be tedious. The recording of scenarios also some effort, but at least you don't lose your work. You will keep the scenarios and the tests, and yeah, I found it very helpful for development. So let's think of some other test cases or edge cases. Until now, we just checked if the item was picked up in the tool slot 1. But yeah, there's multiple tool slots. So you see here the blue light going around. There's 4 tool slots in total. I think let me check. I prepared a save state where we already have 1 item, and if we now pick up the heart, it will be placed in slot 2. So maybe let's first record the scenario. We can, let's say, red heart collected in slot 2. So it's perfect. Let's start the recording. That toggle button here is really handy. If you have the setup ready, it's pretty fast to record a new scenario. So I'll pick up it here. We can switch between the items, and you see here that the heart was picked up in slot 2. Now let's pause here for a moment. Next up would be a test that it should also trigger when the heart is collected in slot 2. So slot 2. So it should behave pretty much like the first test we had. So for the scenario red heart collected in slot 2, we expect it to be active at the beginning, and then that it triggers. Yeah, I'll remove the exact trigger frame. Most of the time we're not interested in the exact frame. It's just that, and that might also change. If we change the logic, it might be some frames earlier or later, depending on the conditions that we have. So my main concern is that it should trigger if it's picked up in another slot. So we can run the test. Let's check if that already works, but it doesn't. There's a marker missing. Let's first add the marker. Let's say, yeah, scenario start. It doesn't, somewhere here in the beginning. Scenario start. Let's rerun the tests, and we have an error. Which line? Line 33 should be true. Okay, so there's something wrong with our achievement. Let's go back. So this tool slot that we defined earlier, that's actually tool slot 1 out of 4. So we'll need to check the others too. Let me add the other addresses for tool slots 2 to 4. And now we notice this will be difficult with just a simple delta mem check. We can't just copy paste it, because all of them would need to be true. So let's move on to alts. So in core we only have the in-game check, and we can define the alts just like core with the same syntax. And yeah, let's just copy this part, and we will just use an alt for every possible slot. So let me change them to alts 1 to 4, and then to slot 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now we only have the in-game check in core, and the rest are alts. Yeah, this should already work. Let's rerun the viewer. Select the right scenario with the achievement. And we see here it triggers at the point where we pick up the heart, even if it's in slot 2. So this should be fine. It looks fine in the scenario viewer. So let's run the tests again. Perfect. So now we have also the case that we can collect in any item slot. Yeah, now for most of the time we have to think about cheat protection. So for the last test, let's assume the player uses a cheat. Does not pop if player used cheat. So in Monster Force there's a cheat which grants you invincibility. I'm just gonna try to record a scenario of that. Again, I'm now defining a scenario name, player used cheat, which I'm gonna paste here. And now I'm gonna record a scenario. It's to activate the cheat. It's some key combination. I think it's, what is it? First have to be in the menu, then it's left shoulder, right shoulder, B, and then down. You would hear a jingle that or a sound, but yeah, we can quickly check if it's active or not. Let me move to an area where we have enemies, so they can damage me, but we can check if normally the player dies if the health is too low, but now with invincibility we can let's see what happens now on the next enemy attack. Yeah, my health just fills up again, so the invincibility cheat is active. So we can go back now to the place where we know that the heart is, collect it, and we're done already. Let's stop the recording. And now let's open up the viewer. Player used cheat. Currently the achievement still triggers because you have no cheat protection. So we have to add that. So we have to work on our achievement. Now for the invincibility, there's a let me duplicate this line and change it. For the invisibility, there's a simple address which we can check. So let's add a pause if, and let's add the address which has the invincibility cheat. It's this one. So if the invincibility cheat has value 3, then it should pause. Also, let's add a hit count of 1. So if it ever happens during the scenario or during playing, it will stay paused just until we reset it. So the player can't enable invincibility and then disable it again. That would not make the achievement work again. So that's exactly what we want. If they ever use invincibility, the achievement should be blocked. Now the thing is, we also have to add a reset. So let's add a reset. Reset if mem 8-bit of game state equals to the value of level select. So if we're back at the level select screen, then the achievement should reset, because if they restart, they should have another chance at reaching the achievement. Let me quickly check what that is. By the way, we can also have a RAM watch. So like the memory inspector in RetroLib Retro, or I guess it's more like the bookmarks. We can see what the memory currently is. So if we add watches, we can see what those are. For example, you see here the timer going up. I don't know what the game state is, if the level's finished. So if we're in the level select screen, so let's quickly check for that. So here that's the level select screen, and we see here the value is 12. Okay. Let's go back to the 12. That should be C in X, not X notation. So if the level select is if the game state is level select, then we reset the achievement. As we're using other alts too, we'll have to add an always false here, so that it won't trigger the achievement itself. So another alt must be true, not this one. Value of 1. Nice. So this should help us in detecting if the player cheated. So let's have a look at it in the scenario. Player used cheat. Sorry, I have to reload quickly. There seems to be an error. Maybe a syntax thing. Sorry, something going on. Maybe the condition was missing something. Let's check again. No, it's not it. Yeah, now it worked. Yeah, I guess something was messed up with the syntax. So let's go back to the player used cheat. We see here scenario start, it's active, and then as soon as the player uses the cheat, it goes to paused. So we can set a marker here, cheat was used, and at this point in time we expect the achievement to be paused. So let's, in scenario start it should be active, and on cheat used it should be paused. Let's check if the tests run, and we see here all tests are green. I didn't record the scenario long enough to also see what happens if we get to the level select screen, so we could also record another scenario or re-record this, so that we also see that it resets properly. Yeah, I'm gonna omit that for now, but yeah, that would also be possible. This is already a pretty good setup for this achievement. We added a simple test if it should pop if the achievement if the radar is collected, and then some other edge cases like the cheat or if another item is collected. So yeah, that's that. The library itself, it would allow for more advanced tests, like the pulse state we just saw before. There's also the possibility to check if achievement should be primed. For example, here, this is, by the way, these are my tests I wrote for the Monster Force set. I'll link them below, just as the other things I showed. For this achievement, it's required that the player doesn't heal himself. So we expect the achievement. I added a trigger. So at the beginning of the level, it should be primed, and then we can also check, for example, if the player healed themselves, then the achievement should no longer be primed, but it should be paused instead. Stuff like that is also possible. Or the measured value can also be tested. For example, here in an achievement where 50 enemies should be defeated, I started the recording, I think where I already killed 49 enemies, and then it can be tested that the measure that is exactly what we expect, and then only on the next enemy defeated, it should pop to 50, and then the achievement should be triggered. Yep, I think that's pretty much it. I said I'll link the frameworks, all the stuff below. Yeah, I found it very how to say, I liked developing the set like this, because I was always sure that at least for the setup with the BizHawk, with the MGBA core, it would run as expected. I mean, you still have to check manually that for the other cores, or also for the MGBA core in ArrayLib Retro, that it also works and that everything works as expected. But those kind of unit tests or scenario tests can help a lot if you're developing the achievement and changing the logic, just to be sure that it should still trigger the moment that you expect. Yeah, thanks a lot for watching, and if you have any questions, let me know at RetroAchievements or in Discord. Yep. Thanks a lot for watching.